Climate change is one of the greatest development challenges threatening human survival and existence. Climate change impacts have become more severe, causing irreversible effects on communities, water, and environment resources. Frequent droughts and high temperatures have increased water insecurity, and this has affected livelihoods of many vulnerable people. As communities experience changing weather patterns, less predictable rainfall, sustainable water, sanitation services, and hygienic practices become a critical line of defense. Uganda is currently experiencing challenge of rising water levels in lakes and rivers, including Lake Victoria and Lake Choga. The prolonged and intensive rainfall since September 2019 and the associated rise in water levels has led to flooding in several parts of the country, having negative impact on property, infrastructure, and people's lives. For example, on 11th April 2020, dislodgement of encroached wetlands at the lakeshore of Lake Victoria caused blockage of River Nile in Ginger, resulting into power blackout for several hours. While floods have always occurred, the flooding cycle has become shorter. This is caused by increased settlements and developments in floodplains, poor agricultural practices, and deforestation. The country is therefore increasingly facing a major challenge of prolonged droughts and unexpected floods due to climatic change. The impact of climate change is affecting Uganda's efforts to achieve the targets envisioned by the National Development Plan 3, Vision 2020, and the Sustainable Development Goals. Successful industrialization and diversification of the economy will only be possible if the impacts of climate change are addressed. Given the current, expected, and projected rise in temperature, climate change adaptation and mitigation in Uganda is inevitable. There is also a need to explore existing and potential innovative climate change mitigation and adaptation options that are key in supporting the achievement of various NDP 3 goals and targets, specifically employment, wealth creation, and general economic growth. Such innovative climate change mitigation and adaptation options include protection of water catchments and the general environment, regular maintenance of water bodies and rivers so that they perform their water storage and conveyance function, demarcation and protection of lakeshores, riverbanks, and wetlands to limit encroachment, and strengthening of enforcement of the water and environmental laws at all levels. Rainwater harvesting and climate-resilient irrigation schemes are needed so as to provide reliable and sustainable water solutions for Ugandan farmers and contribute to agriculture productivity, improve food security, create local job opportunities, and achieve sustainable and inclusive economic growth.
This is the cattle corridor in central Uganda, a semi-arid area of the country which is currently on the front line of the nation's battle against climate change. Agriculture here is largely rain-fed, and unexpected long dry periods and limited rains are making life unpredictable and increasingly difficult.
Ente zisolo zaffe ne zitambula wawanvu okugenda ofuna amazzi, ente zaffe nsinga zifa, n'omuddo gukala gugwawo ne tusigaza ebitundu ebipaata ebimu ne bifuuka eddungu.
Climate change impacts are economically significant for a country that's reliant on natural resources. An estimated 800,000 hectares of Ugandan crops are destroyed by climate-related events every year. To counter this, measures are now being taken here to help farmers adapt to climate change through the Global Climate Change Alliance, or GCCA, a programme financed by the European Union with additional funds provided by the governments of Belgium and Ireland, in partnership with the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. The initiative started by bringing locals together in farmer field schools, where villagers identified key problems and together developed plans for their future. For the first time, pastoralists here began to grow drought-resistant pasture so they could continue to feed their cattle during dry seasons and periods of drought. Villagers were encouraged to harvest water and to store it in order to water their cattle and to irrigate their crops during the dry seasons. And locals built barns to store their dried pasture throughout the year.
Ekirungi kye tufunyeemu mu nkyukakyuka eyo eriwo. Batuyigiriza okulima omuddo, ne batuyigiriza n'ennunda y'ente. Ente zibadde zivaamu amata matono, kati waliwo enjawulo. Kyofuna n'osevingayo kasenteko olw'amata amangi, buli nte evaamu lita 15 buli nte emu.
Group members have invested their newfound earnings into higher yielding breeds of cattle, which means that milk production is consistently higher all year round, leading in turn to higher incomes and hope for their children's future.
Naye ekirungi ekisinza otusanyusa nga ffe abazadde, abaana baffe baalemwanga okusoma nga tubatwala mu nte eyo, tutambula kilomita nga 5 okutuukayo. Kati waliwo enjawulo, enkyukakyuka weeri. Tufuna n'amata mangi, ne tusunda n'omuzigo, ne tufuna n'akasente.
In a country like Uganda, where almost 80% of households rely upon agriculture for their livelihood, putting agriculture at the heart of plans for climate change adaptation is essential. And this is the aim of a further FAO initiative, which supports countries to develop their national adaptation plans.
Agriculture food security is a matter of life and death in Uganda. It's about survival of humanity. And therefore, the sectoral NAP or integration of agriculture has been seen as a key starting point, how to have a harmonized and a prioritized approach, how to address agriculture investments in the midst of the problem of climate change.
As the NAP program begins a long partnership, other parts of the country are learning from the local lessons of climate change adaptation developed by the GCCA program, which was active in 6 of Uganda's 120 districts. Those activities will be replicated and scaled up across the country in the coming years.